So as we continue the ADU ride along, I want to talk about becoming a complete expert in your zoning code. We talked about that in ADU 101. The link to that is below, but I'll just show you right now with a good visual. So in this market, we are allowed to build 2 accessory dwelling units, 1 attached, 1 detached. And we did a quick tour of the attached ADU above garage. And over here on the bottom end of this lot, we have a detached standalone ADU. Let's go check that one out. So similar to our last accessory dwelling unit design on the detached tour, this one's a little bit different in that it is a slab on grade. So it's not a crawl space foundation with a wood floor. It's actually all poured. It's a monolithic slab. So the footing is built into the finished floor, and we're able to save a little bit of costs with the monolithic slab floor. And we're also, the real reason that we do it is to keep the transition to a minimum so we can have this qualified as an age-in-place design, where in other words, there's no steps to get in or out of the house. And inside this ADU, this one's almost 800 square feet, so it's a little bit bigger. We have a large vaulted ceiling, almost 18 feet to the peak. We'll do the one-walled galley kitchen here. We have in-unit washer and dryer, a small bathroom off to the left, and then a bedroom here with an egress window and a lot of natural light that pours in. My favorite part of this design is the very tall ceiling, very dramatic pitch, and you get tons of volume in this space. So this 800 square foot ADU is gonna feel a lot larger than it is. So to get into the numbers of this detached accessory dwelling unit, depending on the market you're in, your system development fees, also known as SDCs, are gonna be based on a percentage. And that percentage is the difference in size from the primary to the accessory. For example, if you have 1,000 square foot primary residence and you're building a 500 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit, the city or the municipality or the authority having jurisdiction would give you a 50% deduction in charge based on size difference between the two. A lot of markets, a lot of industries use that standard, but check with your local planning and zoning office. In this case, the SDCs for this project were around $8,000, and the all-in build cost was around $220 a square foot for a brand new accessory dwelling unit. And some people might think, well, that's expensive, or where am I gonna get that money? Or how am I gonna finance it? Being new construction attached to a new primary residence, you can go to the closing table with long-term fixed rate financing for both the primary and the accessory. If you feel like this information is useful, please like and subscribe, as well as hit that bell so you see our next video in the ADU series. Thanks so much for your time. So next on the ADU ride along, we're gonna check out this detached accessory dwelling unit above garage. And although it doesn't share any walls with the house and we're classifying it as a detached ADU, we can also, if we have to, call it an attached ADU because of the breezeway. And in some cases, we may take that route, so we still have the option to build a detached accessory dwelling unit later. Let's go check it out. So the tenant was nice enough to let us come in and take a quick look, but you'll notice the same design principles that we just walked through in the other detached ADU. The one wall galley kitchen, again, a nice, simple, clean one wall design. We're trying to compete with apartments, so we're going with a nice alder cabinet, a stainless steel appliance set, and granite countertops. It doesn't cost a whole lot more, and it looks so much nicer than most of the competition. So this is the same light fixture package. I use the same material over and over so we don't get decision fatigue when we're planning these. But again, design principles are a window on every wall if we can, lots of natural light, and a vaulted ceiling so we don't feel closed in when we're in these smaller living spaces. As for costing on an ADU above garage, we can get away with spending about 30% less than we would on a standard detached ADU because we're already doing the same foundation and the same roof. So where I talked about earlier, attached ADUs starting in the $100 a square foot range and detached ADUs starting in the $225 a square foot range. ADUs above garages, if you're already building a garage, can be quite a bit cheaper. This is a 22 by 26 two-car garage with a 573 square foot accessory dwelling unit above it, and I was all in on this project for $110,000. And that is something we already needed. The garage was going to be built anyways, and there was no reason to not add an ADU during this project. In this portion of the video, I want to talk about siding and design standards for the lot of a detached accessory dwelling unit. So it's really important that we have enough room and we have access and we have parking to build our detached ADU. And this lot happened to be 65 feet wide by 300 feet deep. So I knew there would be no problem meeting the front and rear and side setback standards. The only thing that was going to be an issue potentially was access and parking. So one thing we want to pay close attention to when we're becoming zoning experts in our local ADU code is how far off the main street does our parking have to be before we're required to do any sort of fire access drive or fire turnaround. So that's just one little thing that can get us in trouble if we're not experts in the code. And let's take a look up this driveway and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in our jurisdiction here, we couldn't be farther than 150 feet from the center line of the road to the secondary parking and the access. And you can see our parking area here. Our ADU had to be within 250 feet of designated off-street parking. So this is a good example of kind of that standard and what it looks like in the flesh and how to meet it. A really important tip here, if you're looking at a property that you're about to buy and you're considering the either attached or detached accessory dwelling unit strategy, I always call for a free locate to get the utilities marked so I know what I'm dealing with on a property. And you can see here, here's the sewer line, here's the water line, there's the power. So during the due diligence period, make sure that you call for a full utility locate and they'll mark everything in the right of way and you'll basically have a roadmap of where you start on this process. So to start this ADU tour, it's worth talking about the site, the siding and design. Those are the single two most important aspects of the build because they're going to drive our costs. So for this accessory dwelling unit, we're about 50 feet from the primary house where we're pulling all of our utilities. I like to kind of walk around the project and talk about design features, ways that we can save money, ways that we can improve our design when we're looking at the detached accessory dwelling unit strategy. So this is a very simple 22 by 26 rectangular design, and if we keep a rectangle, it's going to be really simple. The less roof pitches we have, the less labor we're going to have, and the more money we're going to save. So we'll just do a really quick 360 of this project and I'll talk about some cost savings design principles. It's really easy to forget in our detached accessory dwelling unit design that we're going to have a bunch of mechanical components that we probably don't want to see right on the front porch. So I'm just finishing up this accessory dwelling unit right now. I still have to trim out the exterior mounted natural gas on-demand hot water heater, but it's important to note that we have all of our utilities on the outside of this building and they're all on the back corner where they're going to be least visible. One part of the ADU strategy that's really important is separating utilities. And this is an example of a private utility meter for electric use. And what I do is I run a line off of the main house and then I put a private meter here. And what I'm able to do is to read the meter every month and bill back the tenant for exactly the utilities they use. And that's a huge advantage because as opposed to shared utilities where you would just tack on say $100 or $200 a month additional for utilities, I am able to empower the tenant so they can use what they need and they can pay for what they use. So come on in and check out the inside of this finished detached accessory dwelling unit that I'm literally just tidying up the loose ends on right now. The one wall galley kitchen is a technique that I use both on attached ADUs and detached ADUs, and it's really important for cost savings. If we have no breaks in the countertop and no breaks in the cabinet, we save a lot of money and it's a good clean look, especially in a small space. So a few design principles that I always use in an ADU are lots of open light. We need volume, so a vaulted ceiling is a must. We have 16-foot vaulted ceilings in this space. We're trying to build a better product than any of our other competitors, which in the one bedroom, one bath market is usually an apartment. So it's nice to go a couple steps above the competition. So we use clear alder cabinets, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, a simple, small bathroom. This is a really good strategy to talk about. A 5x8 bathroom, 5 foot wide, fits a prefabricated fiberglass shower surround, and then an 8 foot width gives you plenty of room for a 30-inch vanity and a toilet. So in a small space, it's not a must to have a larger bathroom. In fact, we would rather use that precious square footage for living space. Every ADU that we build detached, again, has a vaulted ceiling and it has a storage loft. So we always put in an attic access ladder here too. It just gives the tenant another spot to put stuff, and it gives us volume, and the big window in the back of the gable end almost acts like a skylight. A couple other things that we want to capture when we're designing our accessory dwelling unit is natural light. So this happens to be the sunny side of the building, and we've gone with a off-white wall color in here, and then we do a bright white semi-gloss lid. And what that allows is it allows for passive solar to come in and bounce off the windowsill and bounce off the floor and reflect up to the ceiling and give us a little bit more feeling of space. When we're looking at houses that are 600 to 800 square feet or smaller, it's really important that we capitalize on all these little tricks to make the space feel bigger. So everyone's favorite part, how much does a detached accessory dwelling unit cost? Again, a totally loaded question, but this is what I tell people. This is the Pacific Northwest, so we're a pretty high market. This is the spring of 2022, so these numbers could change. But what I tell folks right now is about $225 a square foot is where you can expect to start. I, as the builder, was able to build this all in with system development fees for under $100,000. But that is because I'm spoiled and I do most of the work myself. If you, an average BP listener, is just saying, hey, I want an ADU, I want to go find a builder, how much would I expect to pay? I would say start at a budget of $225 a square foot. Now, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you're really ambitious, you have a lot of time, you can save probably 20 to 30% if you decide to self-manage the project. In other words, be your own general contractor. In most jurisdictions, if you own the property where you're working, you can GC the project yourself. So to conclude the Detached ADU walkthrough series, we were able to look at a new construction ADU under construction, we were able to look at a detached ADU above garage, and we were able to check out this standalone detached ADU. Thanks so much for your time. Be sure to like and subscribe so BiggerPockets can continue to bring you cutting edge content just like this, and also hit that little bell so you'll see videos as they're released.